Hey, what's going on? This is Chef Tyson again from Frost Creek, and we're going to make something awesome today. This is going to be one of my all-time favorite sandwiches. If you have ever seen the movie Spanglish with Adam Sandler, believe it or not, he makes a version of this sandwich in the movie, and his coach for the movie was Thomas Keller, one of the most capable and famous chefs on earth. And Thomas Keller describes this sandwich as the best sandwich ever created. I don't know if I agree with that 100%, but it is certainly up there. So what we're going to make is a BLET. That's going to be bacon, lettuce, runny egg, tomato, and we are also going to include a little bit of sliced Monterey Jack cheese. I've made this sandwich about 100 times. I have never actually made it with the Monterey Jack cheese before, which is part of Thomas Keller's repertoire of ingredients for this. And it might seem like it's pretty simple to make here, but one cool thing is we're going to talk about how to cook the egg real quick. And then we're also going to talk about how to put the sandwich together, and believe it or not, that is the most important part. So first things first, I have some butter lettuce here, also known as bib lettuce, that is hydro-packed. They have it at City Market in Eagle. And I just basically pulled it apart and washed some of the leaves and let them sit in super cold water so that they could get crisp. This is some thick cut bacon that I got. Essentially, I just cooked it on a sheet tray coated with aluminum foil in the oven for at 350 degrees. For about 17 minutes, 15 to 17 minutes, somewhere around there. That all depends on the thickness of your bacon. If you have a lot going on with what you're putting together food-wise and you want to cook the bacon and not have it be unforgiving as far as time goes, then you can buy bacon that's a little bit thicker and you can cook it all the way down to 300 degrees and get the same result. It'll just take longer. I've got some country-style white bread here that I've already popped in the toaster so that we can make this go a little bit quicker. And remember, the quality of your finished product is going to be 100% based on the quality of the ingredients that you've purchased. So I always try and buy the best ingredients that I can. And for the eggs, we have some really awesome cage-free. These have super dark amber yolks, and they are delicious. If you don't like runny egg, you don't have to use runny egg. You can do this with a fried egg. You can do this with scrambled egg, but it's probably going to fall apart. But cook it to your liking, or don't put the egg on there at all. Just have a BLT and it would be incredible. So you obviously want to try and buy tomatoes that are the best you can find. These are organic. They didn't really have anything crazy awesome in the heirloom tomato section that I saw, but these, they smelled good. They had a nice, soft but not too soft texture to them. And more importantly to me, when we're making these sandwiches and we're making multiples, I want them to be very, very close in size. And again, the Monterey Jack cheese that I got just came from the deli counter at City Market. One other little thing, this is a kitchen hack for me. I know that this might be something that no one's used before. This is like $7. I got this in the grocery store, and it is the 1 egg pan. When I make breakfast at my house, I cook 2 eggs in this, and it's a little bit more difficult, but this is an amazing egg pan. You don't need anything fancy. Like I've said before, egg pans are better when they're you buy cheaper ones and you buy them and replace them more often, just because you want that Teflon to be as new as possible, and over time that's going to get corroded, or just by you washing it, using it, it'll get kind of chipped off there. So I'm going to take this here, turn the burner on to about medium. I'm going to take some Pam, just for the sake of ease, and spray the whole interior. I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil there. And we're going to let that get warm. We don't want that to get completely hot. So one of the main things that people do when they cook eggs is, and cook them improperly, I guess would be the right way to say it, is they overcook them. They cook them too hot, and they cook them for too long. And basically what you're trying to do is cook the egg regardless of where you're trying to cook it to, with no brown on the egg whatsoever. And so basically what we're going to do now is I'm just going to do 1 egg at a time, because once you get comfortable with doing 2 eggs in the pan, then we can definitely upgrade and do 2 at a time. But 2 at a time gets this pretty full, so that it's a little bit more difficult to handle. All right, so we're going to take this guy, and you'll see you can get all your ingredients together just like I have, but you can see, look how dark the yolk is on that. That is super dark. Believe it or not, all of that color is going to be based on the chicken's diet. So the chicken's diet is going to dictate how these come out. For example, this is a diet that's high in beta carotene. You can tell they've eaten a lot of corn. Maybe there's a lot of carrot in their diet, that kind of thing. If you were to feed chickens something like beets, you know, maybe that would cause the yolk to come out and be purple. I do know that there's a breed of chicken that they feed peppers to, like ghost chilies, and that's the majority of their feed is ghost chili. And the reason they do that is because chickens can't detect heat, so they don't really care whether it's spicy or not, and it makes the end product spicy. But you can see how just non-stick this pan is. And I've got the heat really, really low on this because I don't want to overdo it, okay? And this is going to be pretty easy to get out of the pan. There's plenty of room in there for the one egg. If you get this little guy here, you want to get rid of those, that's fine as well. But one thing you do want to remember is if you have an egg like this where the yolk is off to one side, and then you go to flip the egg, you want to do that with the yolk at the bottom so that you're flipping the white mostly and the yolk very, very little. If you were to put this with the yolk at the top at 12 o'clock and you go to flip it, that's a lot of distance for that yolk to travel. And when it hits the pan, it's hitting it with a lot more force. So you have a much greater likelihood that the yolk is going to break. So if you just want to kind of do the pan around in a circle like that, flip it upside down real quick. If you don't feel comfortable using the flip, you can use a wooden spatula, or you could just dump this out onto a small saucer or dish and then slide it back in the pan upside down. Whatever works for you. But it's kind of an awesome move to have in your bag of tricks. So I'm just going to turn this off at this point. This is completely soft, and we're going to start building this sandwich. And you can see how fast this is going to happen. So again, like I said before, the order in which these ingredients get put on the sandwich is way, way more important than you might think. And this is something that baffles cooks in the industry as well when you tell them, hey, you know, if you don't put the sandwich together in this order and you don't put the sandwich together the same every time, it's going to taste completely different. You know, that blows a lot of people's minds, but it's the absolute truth. So it's a matter of personal preference how you put your sandwich together. But for me, I think the way that we're going to do it makes the most sense. So we're going to take some mayonnaise, Duke's mayonnaise. I know I pushed the Duke's hard because it deserves it. And I'm just going to grab a decent amount of mayonnaise for both sides. It might look like a lot of mayonnaise, but at the same time, remember that this is the only sauce. There's some pretty dry ingredients on this, and you want to have it as juicy and unctuous as possible. So if you were not doing this with the cheese, then I would say you want to have the tomatoes in contact with lettuce, or in contact with the mayonnaise on one side, and the lettuce in contact with the mayonnaise on the other side. For this, I'm going to go ahead and just put one slice of cheese on either side real quick, because that's going to give the cheese, which is really kind of something that'll dry your mouth out, a little bit more unctuous quality to it. We're going to take our tomatoes, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to salt those now. Always salt your tomatoes. We're going to put bacon on the other side. And, you know, if you're a bacon lover, put a lot of bacon. If you're not a bacon freak and you only want to, you know, you're health conscious about it, then put less. That's fine too. If you like a lot of lettuce, put a lot of lettuce. So we're going to put the lettuce here. And I'm going to very carefully pull this egg out of here onto the sandwich. And might seem like gilding the lily, but no, we're going to go ahead and season the egg as well. And if you like pepper, you can put pepper on it. If you like spicy, you could certainly stir sriracha or chipotle or something like that into your mayonnaise. But we're just going to put this guy together. And then the way that I cut this sandwich is pretty much dependent on where the yolk is located, because you want to get that yolk cut and so it's nice and runny whenever they see the sandwich. Avocado is a great addition to this. So the yolk is pretty much right here, and I am going to very carefully cut that guy. And then we can take a look right there, and you can see that the yolk in there is not fully liquid. It's more kind of an over medium and just really jammy, custardy, which is really, really what you want. If you really want to have it super runny so that the whole sandwich is nice and sauced, feel free to do that as well. I would just go ahead and build the sandwich, then do the egg, as opposed to what we just did, whereas we gave it a resting period. But again, this is very easy to do, BLET, and it is phenomenal. If you want it a little bit spicy, you could put arugula on it instead of the Bibb lettuce. And that's it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you for the next one.